All right, welcome to the second essay. This is the Great Decoupling, Astrological Roots of Economic Paradigm Collapse, 2026 through 2032. All right, so the period 2026 through 2032 witnesses the astrological dismantling of global capitalism's foundational myths through the Saturn-Neptune opposition, exact 2026, 2027, 2028, coinciding with Jupiter's transit through Gemini and Virgo, 2025 through 2027. This configuration triggers what we term the Great Decoupling, where value separates from materiality, labor detaches from productivity, and currency decouples from sovereignty. This briefing maps the precise planetary alignments driving this economic singularity. The primary economic aspect, Saturn-Neptune opposition. Aspect mechanics for 2026 through 2028. Saturn in Aries, discipline action, versus Neptune in Libra, illusory relationships. Exact oppositions: February 2026, October 2026, July 2027, March 2028. Structures of conflict: Saturn in Aries opposes fantasies of harmony, Neptune in Libra. Key degrees: we have 18 degrees Aries Libra axis, the war peace economic pivot point. Historical parallel: last Saturn-Neptune opposition, 1989 through 1990, coincided with Soviet collapse, materialism failure against spiritual longing. This cycle's theme is revolved around capitalism's spiritual bankruptcy meeting post-scarcity potentials. The Jupiter amplification, 2025 through 2027, we have Jupiter in Gemini, and we have Jupiter in Cancer. So Jupiter in Gemini is what? Exponential growth of information-based value systems. What is Jupiter in Cancer? Emotional investment in tribal economic models. Critical conjunctions. We have Jupiter conjunct Neptune in April 2026. Investment fantasies reach religious fervor. Jupiter opposite Saturn, August 2027. Expansion versus contraction crises. Our three-phase economic disintegration. It looks like this. Our first phase is currency reality failure, and it's happening this year. And it's happening this month, because we have a Saturn-Neptune opposition, and it's squaring the USA's moon. Public faith in monetary systems dissolves. CBDC revolts. Populations reject digital currency surveillance. Crypto schism, fracture between decentralized and state-captured cryptocurrencies. Barter renaissance, localized value exchange based on attention and intention. Economic indicator to watch: trust velocity, speed at which faith moves between systems. Okay. All right, sorry, I got distracted again. I gotta stop looking at my phone. So phase 2, labor value collapse. We have 2027. This is occurring. Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in July of 2027, squaring Pluto. AI robotic productivity decouples from human labor value. It's already happening. Universal basic assets experiments replace universal basic income. Skill-based time becomes primary currency. 1 hour of coding equals 1 hour of caregiving. Contribution tracking, blockchain verification of social emotional labor. Social fracture point: 43% global unemployment threshold triggers meaning crisis. Okay. Phase 3, property paradigm revolution. 2028 through 2030, we have Pluto stationary direct at 5 degrees Aquarius in September 2028, trine America's Venus. Network ownership replaces individual ownership. DAO-based resource allocation algorithms distribute based on need and contribution. Attention property rights, legal recognition of cognitive territory. Archetype-based economics, value assigned based on planetary resonance alignment. Legal revolution: first no property court cases, ownership of dream spaces, ritual outcomes. Sector by sector breakdown. Financial markets, 2026 through 2027. Neptune in Libra, square Wall Street's ascendant, 29 degrees Cancer. Meme stock phenomena evolves into ritual trading, new asset classes, consciousness derivatives, futures on collective emotional states, planetary alignment bonds, investments tied to astrological configurations, synchronicity insurance, hedging against meaningful coincidence clusters, collapse point traditional valuation models become literally meaningless. Real estate and property, 2027 through 2029. Mercury transit is Uranus and Gemini, opposite Saturn and Sagittarius across the 2nd and 8th houses. Physical property value fragments from land value. The emergent models being temporal ownership, rights to use spaces at specific planetary hours, resonance leasing, properties valued by their astroacoustic properties, network homesteading, claiming territory and augmented reality layers. The paradigm shift being location, location, location becomes resonance, resonance, resonance. Labor and unemployment, or employment. 2028 through 2030, we have Pluto and Aquarius sextiling Neptune in Aries. Work becomes consciousness sculpting. New professions could look like reality gardeners, collective belief ecosystems, synchronicity engineers, design meaningful coincidence flows, archetype therapists balance planetary energies in organizations, nospheric architects design collective consciousness structures, metric revolution, productivity measured in consciousness coherence, and archetype alignment. Our strategic economic defenses we won't necessarily go over. And our critical risks and opportunities we will. So our existential risks, our unprecedented opportunities, and our tipping points, which I'll just give these, we'll say ER, we'll say UO, TP. So our ER, we have meaning collapse, 2027, economic purpose evaporates, triggering civilizational depression, reality famine, 2028, overproduction of virtual value causes authenticity crises, consciousness inflation, 2029, devaluation of attention through psychic spam. UO, archetype arbitrage, 2026 through 2027, profiting from planetary energy mispricings, synchronicity farming, 2028, cultivating meaningful coincidence yields, consciousness appreciation assets, 2030, investing in expanding awareness capacities. Here's our TP, 37% threshold, portion of economy using consciousness-based metrics, 89-day cycle, Jupiter-Uranus derived innovation explosion periods, Pluto degree shift, each degree of Pluto in Aquarius triggers economic paradigm shifts. Cracks. So, the post-economic horizon for 2032 and beyond, we have the Saturn-Neptune cycle completion in 2032 with Saturn in Pisces conjunct Neptune in Pisces, structure and spirit merge. Economically speaking, we have visible and invisible economies become one continuum. In our emergent reality, we have value assigned based on consciousness contribution to cosmic evolution. Here's the new economic principles. Resonance-based exchange, value flows according to harmonic alignment, karmic ledger systems, transactions include consciousness consequence tracking, archetype resource allocation, distribution based on planetary principle needs, collective dream capital, investment in shared visionary potential. The ultimate metric is economic health measured by collective consciousness coherence and alignment with galactic evolutionary currents. Here's our conclusion. Beyond economics. So the 2026 through 2032 period doesn't represent an economic collapse, but an economic transcendence. The Saturn-Neptune opposition forces humanity to choose, cling to collapsing material value paradigms, or embrace emerging consciousness value systems. Strategic imperative. Organizations must prepare not for a different economy, but for a different kind of valuing. Success requires understanding that Pluto in Aquarius isn't changing what we value, but how value itself is generated and perceived. Final assessment. By 2032, the question won't be what is the GDP, but what is the collective dream coherence index. The transition will be turbulent, but the destination is an economy that values what actually matters, consciousness evolution itself. And in the next video, we're going to go over advanced operative techniques and temporal mapping. Beyond traditional predictive models, quantum astrological operations. We'll see you there. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more.